Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. A travel warning has been issued for Baja California. That's after gang violence rocked the southern border over the weekend. We'll see what happened in the area. The recall campaign against Los Angeles District Attorney has failed to collect enough signatures. The County Clerk's office made the announcement Monday. We'll look at the numbers. And California's largest school district is working to fight absenteeism. The superintendent took a low-level approach to bring back as many students as he could. California-Mexico border authorities have issued a travel warning for U.S. residents planning to go to Baja California after a weekend of chaos. The Mexican government believes drug gangs were responsible for setting vehicles on fire and road closures.
The U.S. Consulate Tijuana has lifted shelter-in-place orders after a weekend of violent crime and kidnapping. At least 19 vehicles were set on fire in Mexicali, Ensenada, Tecate, Rosarito, and Tijuana by what the Mexican government believes is organized crime by drug gangs.
Today, we also say to organized crime, to those who are committing these crimes, that in Tijuana we will remain active, taking care of the citizens. We also ask them to collect the bills from those who have not been paid what they are owed, not from the families, not from the citizens who work, because we are also watching over them. We are in coordination, and the 3,000 members of the National Guard, our 2,000 policemen, and the entire government apparatus will go out to protect Tijuana if necessary.
The Mexican border cities of Tijuana and Mexicali, along with Rosarito and Ensenada, have been hit by gang violence that included vehicles being set ablaze and road blockades. The U.S. Consulate in Tijuana instructed its employees to shelter in place until further notice around midnight because of late Friday's violence.
Security has been recovered. Personnel from the National Guard, Mexican Army, State Public Security, and Municipal Public Security, as well as the prosecutors' offices, are distributed. Today, a meeting was held for the coordination of all public security activities, as I repeat, to reestablish and maintain social peace in the state of Baja California.
Few people ventured out on the streets of Tijuana on Saturday, and many of the bus and passenger van services stopped running, leaving some residents unable to get to where they were going. Some transportation services resumed later in the day.
So yesterday they implemented the curfew, and if you look at the border, the busiest border in the whole world, there's so little going on, and I feel really sorry for the economic negative impact that these recent criminal activities have on the people here.
Officials said one person was wounded and 17 suspects were detained, including 7 in Tijuana and 4 each in Rosarito and Mexicali. The area around Tijuana is a lucrative drug trafficking corridor which has since become a battleground between various gangs.
In response to increased gang activity, multiple enforcement agencies in Southern California conducted a sweep of arrests. Dozens were booked, and authorities say more similar operations are planned to happen soon.
On Friday, about 3 weeks after a child was shot in a gang-related incident, the San Bernardino police, along with officers from several agencies, arrested 42 people in a gang suppression sweep. San Bernardino Police Chief Darren Goodman said in a press release that the sweep was in response to increasing criminal gang activity in the city of San Bernardino. He added, recently a beautiful innocent 8-year-old girl was shot in the face by gang members as she played in front of her home. The police reported 30 felony arrests and 12 misdemeanor arrests. They recovered 16 firearms, 3 ounces of methamphetamine, 3 ounces of cocaine, a large amount of PCP, and 2 stolen vehicles. They say more criminal suppression sweeps will be happening in the near future. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
After months of gathering signatures, the recall of Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon has failed. The County Clerk's office rejected thousands of signatures.
The Los Angeles County Clerk's office reported that the effort to recall Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon has failed to collect enough valid signatures. The office rejected just under 200,000 signatures. That put the campaign about 45,000 signatures short of the required number. The office wrote, quote, "The petition has failed to meet the sufficiency requirements and no further action shall be taken on the petition." The clerk's office reported that about 88,000 signatures were not registered to vote, around 44,000 signed more than once, and 32,000 had a different address. People in support of the recall can examine the signatures within 21 days.
The largest school district in the state is missing students, and officials and staff took a low-level approach to bring them back. Last week, the superintendent went out to encourage children to return to in-person learning.
The biggest school district in the state is missing students. In response, Los Angeles Unified Superintendent Alberto Carvalho, along with 600 school officials, went door to door looking for those students on Friday.
Today is a all hands on deck, whatever it takes approach to deal with attendance issues, but also to identify the lost children of LA.
While students are not missing from home, they are missing from the classroom. Last year, about 50% of students in the district were flagged as chronically absent.
That there are thousands of kids we thought had left the community, had not enrolled in school, but in fact are in our community. They just disengaged, they disconnected, they fell off the radar. So today we are targeting on a priority basis students who demonstrated a chronic absenteeism last year.
Carvalho spoke to multiple children, encouraging them to return to school. Several of the students commented on the impacts of online learning.
During the pandemic, while there was online school, I hardly showed up, maybe like 3 days out of the whole year. And during high school, I lost that sense of importance to school, so I stopped showing up. When it was online, I just didn't go because it was so easy to just not go.
First, I didn't kind of really learn anything. I learned a few things, but this time I might learn something.
Important question. What grade are you going to go into?
Can I come?
This year. I think you're going to go probably into 3rd grade.
The children expressed mixed excitement at the thought of returning to in-person learning.
I'm very excited but also nervous because meeting new people and teachers just gets me nervous.
But now I'm ready to get back on track and get into it.
LAUSD is the second largest district in the nation, serving 600,000 students. Class for the district began on Monday.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we've got for you when we come back. In Southern California, an anniversary was held, calling for the release of a lawyer who put his life on the line for his clients. We'll hear from not only his wife, but others who came out to make their voices heard in support. And out in the San Francisco Bay, some sailors seek to inspire today's youngins and the public. Traditional wind-powered ships is how they're doing it. That and more on California Today. A judge recently ruled that a major pharmacy store chain was responsible for contributing to the San Francisco opioid crisis. He cited the company not providing proper resources to pharmacists to investigate red flag prescriptions.
A federal judge concluded last week that Walgreens contributed to the opioid epidemic in San Francisco. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer said Walgreens failed to properly investigate suspicious opioid orders for nearly 15 years. Breyer wrote that Walgreens pharmacists filled hundreds of thousands of suspicious prescriptions from 2006 to 2020. He added that pharmacists were not given proper time, staffing, or resources to investigate red flags. The ruling comes after San Francisco sued Walgreens in 2018 for contributing to the opioid epidemic. In a trial that began in April, Breyer said that San Francisco showed that Walgreens' lax oversight led to illegal drug use. Walgreens spokesman Fraser Engerman responded that the company never manufactured or marketed opioids and that they did not distribute such pills to internet pharmacies or, quote, pill mills. The company intends to appeal the ruling. The amount Walgreens must pay will be determined at a later trial. Walgreens, along with CVS Health and Walmart, are also facing a similar trial in Ohio.
Over the weekend, there was a sad anniversary for a woman in Southern California. She, along with others, rallied outside of a consulate, calling for the release of her imprisoned husband, who defended the people that were persecuted for their beliefs. NTD's Jackie Rios talked to her before hearing from rally-goers.
Saturday marked the 5th year since Gao Zhishen, a respected human rights lawyer, disappeared in China. He represented faith groups that have been victims of the Chinese Communist Party's or CCP's persecution. For representing house Christians and Falun Gong practitioners, Gao has been detained and tortured on and off since 2006. His wife, Gong He, mentioned how Gao would take pro bono cases and dare to take cases that CCP didn't want lawyers to take.
I feel he's a very responsible person. At home, he was a good husband and a good father. So his sense of responsibility carried over to his work. So being a lawyer, he worked especially hard on his job. He worked as his responsibility and his mission. So when he wasn't struggling for an income, he'd have 1/3 of his cases as pro bono. So this really touched me too. He really used his talents to provide help to people who needed it, including free help. Even for Falun Gong or Christians, the CCP didn't allow him to take the cases, but he took them anyway. He used his kind heart and his profession to do that work.
Gong explained how she has lost family members due to the CCP's harassment.
More tragic thing is during these 5 years, the CCP continuously harassed Gao's older sister. Since she was always concerned for her little brother's well-being, whether he was dead or alive, she fell into depression. Finally, in May 2020, she drowned herself in a river. The local police wouldn't let my brother-in-law leave the area for fear he'd look for Gao. They took away his ID, forced him to sign documents at the station, and wouldn't let him leave. My brother-in-law was ill at that time. He needed to get medicine and see a doctor, but they always made things difficult for him. He eventually jumped off a building to his death.
To commemorate the 5-year anniversary, Gong and supporters of Gao gathered in front of the Chinese consulate in Los Angeles to call for his release.
I come here to support. I try to, together with other people, we hope that Mr. Gao Zhishen can be released, can get his freedom, and he also can continue to fight for the people in China for their human rights.
We are here on behalf of Amnesty International because Gao Zhishen is a prisoner of conscience listed by Amnesty International, and our Group 22 have been working on this case since 2010. So every month we write letters to Gao Zhishen to call for his release. And we hope to do more for him to raise public awareness. We believe that Mr. Gao Zhishen should not be forgotten.
Felipe Alexander, a human rights lawyer who attended the rally, mentioned the difference between the rule of law for lawyers in China and the United States.
Because here I can take any cause I want. Often I even sue the American government on behalf of my clients if I feel that they've been egregious or they haven't been appropriate towards my clients. That is unthinkable in China. And so you have people like Mr. Gao who are brave enough to go against the establishment, who are brave enough to take on sensitive cases, and they're simply unable to do so.
Gong last heard from her husband on August 13, 2017. She says she follows his motto of being an upright citizen and helping others. Jackie Rios, NTD News, Los Angeles.
The state's Supreme Court will have a new Chief Justice next January, and the governor made his nomination for that position last week. The change comes as the current Chief Justice declined a second 12-year term.
Governor Gavin Newsom nominated his pick for the soon-to-be vacated position of California Supreme Court Chief Justice. He nominated Supreme Court Associate Justice Patricia Guerrero on Thursday. She could be the state's first Latina Chief Justice, according to the governor's office. Guerrero would replace retiring Chief Justice Tani Cantil-Sakaue, who will step down in January. Newsom's office said in a statement, Justice Guerrero has established herself as a widely respected jurist with a formidable intellect and command of the law and deep commitment to equal justice and public service. Newsom swore Guerrero into the state Supreme Court earlier this year. Cantil-Sakaue announced her retirement after 12 years of service at the end of July.
Before planes, the one way around the world was to hoist your sails and set off on the 7 seas. One sailing crew and its volunteers in the Bay Area are working to keep traditional sailing on deck. NTD's David Lam has the story.
2-6-3! These passengers have their hands full as they get to be sailors for the afternoon. They're on board a 132-foot wooden ship, assisting the crew to set sail in the San Francisco Bay.
I think today it was a really good sail. We got a lot of wind, especially later as we got closer to San Francisco and by Alcatraz, which is where it picks up and gets a lot of fun.
The $6 million ship took 7 years to build, has an 11-sail brigantine design, and comes with a deep history. It was named after an iconic and prolific shipbuilder from San Francisco. Now, the Matthew Turner is specially designed after another historical ship called the Galilee, which was built in the late 1800s. And it also held the fastest sail record from San Francisco to Tahiti.
Now parts of her are in San Francisco, parts of her are in Benicia, which is Matthew Turner's original shipyard location. Part of her is sunk in Sausalito, like literally a quarter-mile from us.
The hybrid ship stands about 100 feet tall and produces her own energy harnessed from the wind. She regenerates her 2 electric motors when sailing. She's one of 2 ships from Call of the Sea, a non-profit in Sausalito that local sailors founded in 1985. Alan Olson, the co-founder, said he partnered with the San Francisco Police Department in the past to take students from youth reform schools out to sea.
It was a very, very powerful thing, and we could see how it was really changing these kids and how much they liked doing it.
All right, turns course, turns lower.
They're dedicated to sharing traditional maritime sailing and its deep history to today's youth with their floating classroom, a chance to sail on traditionally rigged vessels.
I think it's really fun. I mean, it's kind of cold, but I think it's like there's really pretty views and stuff. And I've been on the coast around here, and it's a really different perspective.
Come sailing, it's delightful, and I think it's a really important way to experience our environment and to understand that we used to live on top of the water more than just next to it.
I prefer being on water than on land, if that makes sense. So living on a boat, working on a boat, and just constantly sailing almost every single day, it's where I need to be.
Also, I think that young people don't realize how many options they have. They grow up in a bubble, and they don't really see outside of that bubble. But you put them on a ship and go someplace or spend some time on it, and all of a sudden they see other ideas.
Olson says it's a magical feeling that comes to him and those when they're out at sea as a calling.
You get out there at night or something, you go out there night watch and you're looking at the stars and you're looking out and all of a sudden you realize that you're basically sailing the universe, because that's what you see out there. And you see the sea, and it just broadens your view of where you are, and you're part of all of this too.
Call of the Sea's crew is sailing strong to keep traditional sailing in the Bay Area and beyond. David Lam, NTD News, California.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
Trey Lance's first start as QB1 of the 49ers went surprisingly well, especially given the amount of skepticism in the national media on whether the second-year quarterback is ready for the starting role. Taking on the Green Bay Packers at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, Lance looked right at home under center. Lance only took 12 snaps across 2 drives, but the offense scored twice on those drives, and Lance found a streaking Danny Gray on a 3rd and 9 to cap off the day with a 76-yard touchdown pass. light work. In total, Lance looked extremely composed in the pocket, only rushing the ball one time for a 7-yard gain. He needed to show that he could take care of the football and make the right reads in the game. And he did that on Friday, taking only 1 sack for a loss of just 4 yards and no interceptions or fumbles to boot. Lance also completed 4 of his 5 passing attempts for 92 yards and ended with a perfect 158.3 QB rating. He'll likely have a similarly short window to play in San Francisco's next preseason game on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. Still on the mend from a rib injury, Angels All-Star Mike Trout took to hitting on the field Saturday and participated in a full round of batting practice on Sunday. He is yet to face a live pitcher, but the road to recovery looks to be getting shorter for Trout, who is currently on the 10-day injury list. And 23.5 games back from the first-place Astros, there's a chance Trout gets shut down for the rest of the season and waits till next year to make his return from injury. Unfortunately, there's not much to play for the Angels except next year's MLB draft picks. However, the 31-year-old could be on the move this offseason, with rumors the Angels are looking to blow it all up and start fresh. And if Trout were to be made available, teams would be falling over each other with trade offers to land the outfielder. Brady Singer allowed just 1 hit over 6 shutout innings, and Vinny Pasquantino homered and drove in 2 runs as host Kansas City defeated Los Angeles to end its 12-game winning streak. The Dodgers were shut out for just the 5th time this season, and their 2 hits matched a season low. Dodgers left-hander Tyler Anderson, a first-time All-Star this season, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits in 6 innings. He walked 1 and fanned 4 in taking his first loss since June 27th. Royals 4, Dodgers 0. Thairo Estrada crushed a 2-run walk-off home run to center field with 1 out in the 9th inning, allowing host San Francisco to overcome a huge game by Pittsburgh's Brian Reynolds and earn a 3-game sweep. Reynolds had a 2-run double and a 3-run homer in a Pirates comeback, then raced home from second base on Evan Longoria's throwing error with 1 out in the top of the 9th to put Pittsburgh up 7-6. But Longoria led off the bottom of the 9th with a single, and after Mike Yastrzemski forced his teammate at second with a fielder's choice grounder, Estrada launched his 11th home run of the season off Will Crowe for the Giants' 6th walk-off win of the season. Giants 8, Pirates 7. Blake Snell struck out 10 batters across 6 shutout innings as visiting San Diego beat Washington. Will Myers had 3 hits, 2 of them driving in a run. Manny Machado also had 2 RBIs to go with 2 hits as the Padres took 2 games of the 3-game series. Snell allowed 3 singles, 2 of them by Nationals rookie Joey Meneses, and didn't issue a walk. Snell has won 5 of his last 6 decisions. Padres 6, Nationals 0. That's all for California sports. Back to you.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with the friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through email california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.